This is your video tour of Chapter 6. Our topic this week in Education 111 is Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Learners. We're going to start this week with a video. And this is from the movie Babies, which was a documentary following 4 babies through the first year of their lives. This is just the trailer, but I do believe it's online on Netflix. I've watched the entire movie, and if you get a chance, it is a great film. Really looking at the differences culturally and linguistically between families. But we're going to watch the trailer, and then we're going to be looking within the video for 3 important vocabulary words: ethnicity, culture, and race. Read about each of these vocabulary words, then go back to the video. You might want to rewatch it. It's only a couple minutes. And then I want you to see if you, for each of the 4 babies, tell their culture, tell their race, and tell their ethnicity. And this, you may be making some guesses. Do the very best that you can, and then share what you think on our Padlet board right here. This is what you'll be doing in your classroom when you meet new families. If you don't have written information from a questionnaire, then you're going to be making some guesses or assumptions. So let's see how you do at that. Then we're going to go into the role of culture in development. And I'd like you to read about those. There are 5 key principles that guide development, and I want you to hear about them. We'll move on to 2 kinds of thinking: individual thinking versus group thinking. And depending on the culture that your family follows, you will have a mindset that is more individual or more group associated. You're going to learn about the value of the individual's mindset and the value of the group mindset. Then you're going to read the chart that looks at it's a cultural comparison of values. This is important to know because when we get in that classroom, what we think is normal to us is not going to be normal to other families. And this is any family. And so read about this and listen as you go. Then we have an activity, and this is our first activity for participation this week. You're going to go into D2L and find the continuum activity in the presentation file folder. Then there's 2 kinds of pieces on the continuum. It's page 2. There's going to be gray pieces, and then there's kind of purplish pieces. I want you to first sort the gray pieces and range them from interdependent cultures to individualistic cultures. Take a picture of your answers. You can check those answers then on page 178 of your text. Then grab the purple pieces. Within these pieces, you're going to determine which pieces you associate with your own values and place those on the continuum. Take a picture of it and Dropbox it. You're going to find out why that's so important, to look at not only the different values families may have, but also determine what are your own values. This slide will explain the importance of knowing both of those values, and the benefits of knowing those are listed there, and there's 3 main benefits. Next, we're going to move into why culture must matter to teachers, why we have to make this a priority. And basically, there's 3 big problems that arise when you avoid culture. Okay? When we stay away and we avoid and say everyone's alike, there's 3 big problems that can occur. We're moving out of culturally diverse students now and looking at linguistically diverse students. And I'll be quite honest, almost every child that is linguistically diverse will have their own important cultural components. So it's not an it's not an either or, it's an and or a both. And we've talked about that mindset a lot within this course, how we have to adopt that there's many different cases. So this slide will define language and linguistic diversity. And then we'll learn how to understand different types of communication. So we have something called cultural competence. This slide will share with you all about cultural competence and show you the difference between a high context cultural communication and a low context communication. On this slide, I want you to watch the video on the bottom of each group and see if you can figure out or at least solidify the kind of cultural communication that this child would associate with, because it really relies on the qualities described on each side, the high contextual and the low contextual. Then, bottom line is, once you know all this, what do you do with it, and how do you make all children feel comfortable in your classroom and ready to learn? So we're going to look at some best practices. First, we're going to look at teaching strategies, and there's 7 effective teaching strategies for all learners. So we're going to read through this slide. Then we're going to look at some culturally responsive goals you need to have in your classroom. The slides that come next will tell you how to facilitate those goals. So, first of all, how do we maintain a child's sense of self and identity? How do we maintain the diversity and celebrate it? And then we get a chance to see this put into action. Watch this video and see how a pre-K is adapting their curriculum and their activities to foster the cultural and linguistic differences of students. We also need to look at how we're going to create empathetic and critical thinkers, and so this slide will explain that to you. Last, we're going to end with some resources, and I think this is important because I think as teachers, when you're doing your lesson planning, you have to know where to go to find resources. And so we're going to look first at multicultural literature. And so I'd like you to click on each of the cell phones. Okay, so click on one, read through it, jot down some things that you like. Then go to the second one, click on it, read through, jot down anything that you like. And the third is from a Pinterest board. So click on this link, and you could browse forever on Pinterest, but I've done a search for you. You can go outside of my search if you're comfortable with that. If not, stay within the search. And then what I'd like you to do is, after you've gone through all 3 of our materials and resources, I want you to choose one book that you love, that you absolutely think is phenomenal. And I want you to go to our Padlet board by clicking right here. And I'd like you to share the book cover. I'd like you to share the title and the author, and I'd like you to share a short summary. Now, when you get to Padlet, it's going to give you more specific directions. Follow my example. For those of you that aren't the first people there, it scrolls down. So you'll find it, but it'll be at the bottom of our Padlet board. So if you want to see that specific example, scroll to the bottom. Then we're going to look at multicultural activities. What are some ideas you can find to do things that celebrate diversity and sense of self in your classroom? Again, you're going to click on each one of these and it'll give you ideas. Jot down the ones that you really like. Second one, jot down the things that you like, then get to that Pinterest board. Again, you can go outside of this board if you're comfortable, but when you're finished browsing ideas, then I want you to go to this Padlet board, which is a second board that's different. I want you to describe the idea that you loved. And I want you to share the link and even a picture if applicable, so we can understand what that activity is. Now, the reason why we're browsing and sharing is because I want that Padlet board to then become a resource to you. When you're looking for multicultural books, you now have short summaries of several different books and how we can use those in our classroom. You're going to have at the end of this some multicultural activities and ideas all ready for you. From there, you can visit that Padlet board again at the end of the week when everyone has posted, and you can decide how you want to save those ideas. I personally love Pinterest because I think it's the easiest way to keep things together. If I were a student in the class, I would go right to Pinterest and I would make a board on multicultural literature, and I'd make a second board on multicultural activities. Then, using the Padlet board that my friends shared from this course, I would just save them to that board, and it's so simple. If anyone is having trouble with that and they would love to see a video on how to use Pinterest, I can show you how to do that. Just reach out to me, send me a message on our discussion board, or send me a Facebook message. Just post to our class, and I will put that out there for any of you that are new to Pinterest. If you don't like Pinterest and you want to try a different way, you can bookmark them any way you see fit, but I really think it's valuable to you to take advantage of the work done by your peers and post some of these things. We're going to wrap up, and this is something I haven't put in every presentation, but I think I'm going to start doing this. If you have any questions at the end of the presentation, I want you to post them where it says here, this is a Padlet board. I will just take time at the end of the week. I will read through all of your questions and I will answer them specifically, and then I will put those answers in the weekly recap. This course is pretty straightforward, so we don't have a lot to put on the weekly recap, so this will give me some way to follow up and make sure you don't have any information that you didn't understand or you'd like to know more about. This is optional because if you don't have any questions, you don't have to post anything. But if you do have questions, put them on the Padlet board by going to the link right here. Now we're going to wrap up today with our Montessori Observation. This Montessori Observation can be found in D2L on the Course Projects folder. It's also listed under the Week 6 folder under Observational Project. But have the handout ready as you view this video. This intro video right here will show you what to do when you go out for your observation of 2 hours. And when you're finished, you're going to Dropbox 3 things to me by March 28th. Your observation form, which goes along with the observation for Montessori. You're going to put your teacher signature form that guarantees that you were there. And then you're going to do another 15-minute snapshot. Okay, all of that will be put into the Dropbox by March 28th. And then wrapping up with our weekly assignments. Just remember, this is your go-to spot if you don't know if you've done everything. Online this week, we have 3 participation activities. The Padlet movie with the babies, the Padlet Babies movie, the Padlet for Multicultural Literature, and the Padlet for Multicultural Activity. And the slides are listed there. Optional would be if you want to add that question for Chapter 6. For participation that will be Dropboxed on D2L, you're going to do a continuum sort, which is slide 11. There are 2 sorts. There is the sort of the values, and then there's the sort of your values. So make sure you Dropbox 2 pictures there, or screenshots, however you want to do it. Schedule and complete your Montessori observation. Again, it's not due till March 28th. And read ahead for Chapter 7. That will get you ready for next week's presentation. Good luck, have fun, and learn.